Today, let's learn how to load Adobe Fonts and how to create outlines and do interesting things with our fonts. So if we were doing something for the Anderson International Art Festival, I'm just going to go ahead and grab my type tool, click once. It is better to not make a text box when using Illustrator. Anderson. Now that's really small. If you double click something, it's going to select just the one word. If you triple click, it'll select the entire line. So I double clicked and now it is selected. I'm in the Essentials Classic workspace right now. So here is my character panel and we can see it has defaulted to Myriad Pro 12 points. Now I've always said I don't accept anything in Myriad Pro, and the main reason is that is the default, and it just shows me that you did not even look. So first off, let's go ahead and make this bigger so that we can see it. I'm going to type in, say, 200. And let's go looking for some other fonts. So if you click right here on the little drop-down menu, you're going to see all your font choices. So these are all the fonts that have been loaded on my computer. And you can see if I just kind of scroll around with my mouse, it's going to show me different fonts. One great thing that it has is these filters right here. If you click on this button, you can say, so for instance, I'm wanting a thick font that has no serifs. Now serifs are just mean it's straight up and down. It doesn't have these little curly Q things on the side. So I want a sans serif font and I want it to be pretty bold. So it's going to go through and filter out and show me these are all the fonts that are loaded onto your computer right now that fit those filters. Let's go change the filter just so you can see it work. Let's go say I want handwritten font with no properties. It's showing me all these really illegible, I tend to hate any of these fonts. That's impossible to read, but that is what I have loaded on my computer that I could use. So let's kind of back up to the one that I had before. And I'm just going to make a copy of that by Alt and drag just so I have another copy when I'm showing you this. So Adobe Fonts, how do we see what Adobe Fonts we have available? So if I go and clear out all of this, so there's no more filters on it, this shows you everything that is loaded on my computer. If you use one of the fonts that is on your computer, but it's not on your client's computer or your teacher's computer, then they're not going to be able to see that font. So you need to make sure that don't go to somewhere like Da Font and download some cool font, because I don't have that font. So I'm not going to be able to grade it. If you use Adobe Fonts, I will have them. So there's a few ways you can do this. If you click right here on Find More, it might take a second to load. It is going to load all of the fonts available for you with the Adobe subscription. There are lots and lots. So we can still use the filters even in the Find More. I'm going to click right here and say once again, I want sans serif really thick. And you can see it's giving us a whole bunch of choices. Now it's going to take a second for it to kind of load because it's having to go on the internet. Okay, so let's say I wanted to use this font right here, Alumni Standard. If I want to use this, I just click this button right here to activate it, and it is going to activate those two fonts and put them on my computer. What's good about this is if somebody else opens it, like your teacher or your client, they will be able to just load that from Adobe also. So there are thousands of fonts that you can use. Another good way to do this is to go to the actual Adobe Fonts site. I'm just going to go into my web browser and type in Adobe Fonts. And then you can click right here and look at all fonts. You could type in your search things. It's got all kind of different tags. So let's say I want this Art Deco looking one, go into the Art Deco one, and that I like, let's see, I like this, Arbotex. So I'm going to say View Family, and I'm just going to activate all these fonts. It's now asking me to sign in. So let me go ahead and put Arbotex Ultra and Arbotex Thin. So when I go back into Illustrator, you might have heard my computer dinging that had been activated. When I go back into here, I can go and let's clear out all of my filters. I'm going to go back to my fonts, and it was called Arbitrex, right? Arbitec, there it is. It has loaded it now onto my computer. So that is an easy way to get the fonts you want and to make sure that everybody in class and anybody who has Adobe can see that. So now let's talk about outlining this text and kind of doing something else with it. I'm going to move this over to the side and use this one just because it's easier for me to kind of deal with. I'm going to type in Anderson Arts Festival. Give me a second. Okay, so I'm going to make this arts a little bit bigger just because I feel like it. So let's go and crank that up a little bit. Now, one thing that I did is I put all of these on a separate layer so that I could deal with them separately. If you look in my layers panel, you'll see they're all separated. I like to do that better than just typing things as a sentence because it's just easier to deal with. So what I like to do about this is I'm just going to click and drag to select all 4 of these at the same time. You can see they're all selected. And I'm going to right click and I'm going to say create outlines. Now, if you do download a weird font off the internet that you think that your client won't have, you can just create outlines with it, and it's now no longer a font. If you look at this over in layers, you can see it's no longer a font. It has turned them into actual shapes. So if I click on these individually, you can see that is actually a shape. So with the selection tool, I'm going to go grab the word arts just because I want to. So you can see arts is all together in one group. I'm going to right click on that and I'm going to say ungroup. Notice that they are all now completely separate in their own little group. They're not all grouped together as one. So I could pick up that A and move it completely separate. So the difference between the selection tool and the direct selection tool is the selection tool is going to grab the entire A. The direct selection tool is going to grab just one part of the A. Okay, so let me say that again. The selection tool is going to grab a whole shape. The direct selection tool is just going to grab a part of the shape. Okay, so now I'm going to back up and show you why this is cool. Festival is all separated into separate little things. Let's say I want to change this F because I want to make it really different and cool. I'm going to go and select just that one. Here, let me zoom in. Alt, scroll my mouse. I'm going to grab just that one point with my direct selection tool. That's the white one. And then I want to get this one too. So I'm going to click Shift to add to my selection. And I'm going to grab this second one. Can you see that they're both blue? Now, if I pull straight down, it's just going to pull those two and not anything else. And that's giving me a really cool effect. So let's do that on the L. I'm going to, once again, I need to grab these 2 points. Another way that you can do it is just click and drag your mouse around those 2 points. And you can see that if I zoom in, you can see that those 2 are blue and those are not. So these are selected. So you can do all kind of things to change a font around. Let's do that to the D up here. I want just these 2. So you can really take things and change it. And you don't have to do things like that. Let's say I just want this word arts to look a little bit different. Like maybe I want this to go down into here for whatever reason. Let's see what that looks like. It kind of looks, well, I don't know that that looks good, but I was able to do it. And maybe we want to get rid of the inside of this part of the R. Let's see if I can do that. I'm going to go in here and I'm just going to delete these points. So I'm going to click on that one point and I'm going to go up here and say delete that. Delete that. Just kind of filled in that R because I was being artsy. So there's some basic ideas of how you can load Adobe Fonts and how you can change the fonts once you turn them into outlines.